Today we're going to be talking about MAD. MAD is an acronym that stands for Mean Absolute Deviation. Before we get started, we're going to do a warm-up to review what we did last week. It says, tell which measure of central tendency best represents the data. So let's look at number 1. It says, how many pairs of shoes do you have? And there's a dot plot with X's on it. This shows us we have 2 people that said 4, 2 people said 5, 3 people said 6, 1 said 7, 1 said 9, and 1 said 10. And then we have the question that says, how is the data skewed? So I need you to write down 2 things on this. Which measure of central tendency is best? Should I be using the mean or the median? And then second, how is the data skewed? So it's telling you it's not symmetrical. So is it skewed left or skewed right? Pause the video and write your answer down. Okay, on the first question, how is the data skewed? Well, there's more X's on the left side than there is on the right, so it is skewed right. And then, which measure of central tendency is best? Anytime it is skewed, we want the median. All right, pause the video and write your answers for number 2. Okay, now when we look at number 2, it is approximately symmetrical. It's not a perfect symmetry, but it is much closer to symmetry than it is to something that is skewed. Because it is approximately symmetrical, we want to use the mean to describe the data. Okay, so on the first page of notes for mean absolute deviation, you want to write down the definition for MAD. Mean absolute deviation is the average distance between each piece of data and the mean. The MAD is a measure of variation. Measures of variation describe how data values vary by using a single number. Pause the video and make sure you get that written down so you have it for reference later. Okay, here's the step-by-step on how to find the MAD for a problem. Step 1, you have to find the mean. Step 2, find the difference between each piece of data and the mean. Remember, distance is not negative, so we want the absolute value of the difference. And then 3, find the average of those differences. In other words, you're going to find the mean of all the differences. Alright, so here's our first example. So the very first thing we would do is find the mean. So we're going to take our calculator and we're going to add up those numbers. So we have 234 plus 540 plus 502 plus 629 plus 530 plus 450 plus 574. And so when I add all those up, I get 3,459. And I'm going to divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because there were 7 numbers. Okay. Now when I do that, I don't get a whole number, so I am going to round it to the nearest tenth, and so it is approximately 494 and 1/10. Okay, so now what I have to do is I have to figure out how far each of those numbers is from the mean. So you're going to want your calculator. So I go to the first number, it's 234. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 494 and 1/10 minus 234. And I get 260 and 1/10. And I'm going to write it just right underneath it. So I have it. Now the next one is 540. So 540 minus 494 and 1/10 gives me 45 and 9/10. And then the next one is 502. So I take 502 minus 494 and 1/10, and I get 7 and 9/10. The next one is 629 minus 494 and 1/10, and I get 134 and 9/10. My next one is 530. So 530 minus 494 and 1/10, and I get 35 and 9/10. My next one is 494 and 1/10 minus 450, and I get 44 and 1/10. And then for my last one, 574 minus 494 and 1/10, and I get 79 and 9/10. Now I need to find my MAD. So in order to find the MAD, I have to add up those numbers I just wrote in red. I have to add up their differences. So 260 and 1/10 plus 45 and 9/10 plus 7 and 9/10 plus 134 and 9/10 plus 35 and 9/10 plus 44 and 1/10 plus 79 and 9/10. And so I get 608 and 7/10. And I added up 7 numbers, so I'm going to divide that by 7. And so my MAD is approximately 86. Actually, that 9 ends up rounding over because the 5 rounds the 9 up to a 10, so it's approximately 87. Alright, so to help with our understanding of this, you can see that they've typed in the numbers that we figured out, but down at the bottom I want you to pay attention. It says the MAD is 87, which means the average distance from each piece of data is 87. Visitors above or below the mean. This shows the spread of the data. The MAD is a higher number because of 234, which is an outlier. If we don't have an outlier, we have a much smaller MAD. But it's telling us that most of the data is within 87, a distance of 87 greater or less than the mean. Okay, so here's our second example. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to find our mean. So you're going to take your calculator, add up the numbers. Okay, so when I added them up, I get 42 and 75/100. And I need to divide that by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because there are 6 numbers. And so I get 7 and 125 thousandths. Since this is money, I'm going to round it to the nearest cent. So the mean money is $7.13. Now I need to figure out how far each of those numbers is from $7.13. So $7.13 minus $5.75 is $1.38. On the next one, $7.13 minus 5 is $2.13. $7.13 minus $6.50 is 65 cents. $7.13 is 13 cents more than $7. $9 is $1.87 more than $7.13. And then $9.50 is $2.37 more than $9.50. So in order to find my MAD, I now have to add up those numbers. Hey, when I added, I got a total of $8.53. Then I'm going to divide that by 6 because there were 6 numbers. And when I do that, it is money, so I'm rounding it to the nearest cent. So I have $1.42 for my MAD. So the MAD is $1.42, which means the average distance from each price of a movie ticket is $1.42 above or below the mean. This shows the data, how spread out the data is. So if I were to place the mean on a number line, majority of the prices are going to be within $1.42, either higher or lower. Okay, now it's your turn to try. Solve number 1 for the MAD. The directions tell you to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so on number 1, I found the mean was 3 7/10. So I wrote down underneath each number how far they were from 3 7/10. Then to find the MAD, I added up those 6 numbers and I got 12. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So the MAD is 2. That tells me that the number of pets each person has is within 2 of the mean, either 2 greater or 2 less. Now work out number 2. Pause the video while you work it out. Okay, so you would have found the mean of 7 8/10. Then you found out how far each of the numbers was from 7 8/10. So I wrote those underneath each of the numbers. And then for my MAD, I added up those numbers and I got 17 divided by 6. And so my MAD is 2 8/10. So it means the typical number of hours spent per week on homework is within 2 8/10 above or below the mean. Okay, you're going to turn a couple pages to get to page 22, and today's assignment is pages 22 and 23. So for each of the 6 problems, you're going to find your MAD. And when you solve for your MAD, you're going to choose one of the 2 answers. If you get something that's not one of the 2 answers, know that you've made a mistake and you want to go back and recalculate it. So for number 1, once you determine if the correct answer for the MAD is 44 7/10 or 6 4/10, you'll go to the next page, and all the ones you will color either black or brown. And when you solve number 2, you will be using either black or blue to color in all the 2's, depending on which one's the correct answer. So the numbers inside the circles represent the problem number, and so you look at your code to see what color to color those in. Make sure you turn in both pages 22 and 23 when you turn this in.